Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 128. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super grateful to have you on my channel, and I'm also very excited for today because we're gonna have a monthly time frame analysis. So we're really gonna focus on some great top-down analysis on all currency pairs that we're usually breaking down and really try to decipher where potentially December will take us. By the way, happy December. It's already the 4th, but we're getting into the festive season. Holidays are approaching, Christmas, New Year, all those amazing holidays. And definitely I also got some questions. How do you approach December? Are you going to be trading? Are you going to be doing something? Well, yes, but only for the first 2 weeks. So we already had NFP. So this week, the upcoming one is definitely a tradable one. And then the next one, possibly, of course, yes. But then from the week of the 20th, I think, when we basically have the holidays, then we, of course, all deserve a little break to enjoy the holidays, to enjoy some family time, and of course, let the market just run on the side. Because usually December is famous with low volume, low volatility, and we as traders, we do need some moves. And when you don't have moves, if you just have choppy markets, then you pretty much have break-evens or maybe losses and all that stuff. And for your trading strategy, of course, you have to know your trading conditions. So when do you want to trade? What do you want to trade? And of course, if December is famous for being slow, then of course, you should treat it as a business and take a step back and then come back, of course, in January when the volume is gonna resume. I'm also very excited because as promised in my giveaway video, I hope you have checked this out. If not, I'm gonna leave a little card right now. Today, I'm gonna pick the first ever giveaway winner of this initiative, and this is Mr. OTR. So congratulations, brother. You have been here for, I don't know, it's been a super long time, and you always leave meaningful comments to the post. You also support me a lot on Instagram because we have chatted there as well, and I definitely think you deserve this for your constant support. So thank you, and make sure to get in touch with me either on Instagram or via email. All right, so this is done. I'm very excited for this one, and for the others, make sure to keep commenting because I'm going to be doing this every month. And also, if we hit the round number, I'm going to do even more. All right, so of course, before we start, I want to mention that I also trade some cryptos, which are right now on a crash, and it's a great time to maybe short the market, and I do it with Forex.com. It is a great broker with amazing spreads and commissions, but also they have a commission-free account, but I picked their eco account because for every single lot that you trade there, the commission goes towards planting 10 trees per lot. And I do think this is an amazing initiative to give back and also to support the environment. So make sure to check them out. The link will be down in the description. And if you already did, let's actually head into the analysis because we have a lot of work to do today. Alright, as always, let's get started with our best friend, the Dixie, to potentially see what the dollar is gonna do and where it could potentially go. And as I said in my last video, by the way, make sure to check out my trading setups breakdown from yesterday because I broke down all of my trades for this week there with great detail, and I also shared some great insights and gems right there. So make sure to check that out because in this video, we're solely gonna focus on analysis. Alright, so also in that exact video, I told you that there is a lot of fundamental tension going on right now with the new virus, with the tapering process, and pretty much the attention is centered on the dollar and how the dollar is going to perform, because this is also going to determine how the other currencies are going to follow. Okay, and pretty much in order to really shed some light, so they have announced pretty much the tapering process right there has been announced. I think they actually, some sources said that they're gonna start in December, but some sources said that it's actually already have started in mid-November. But yeah, pretty much they currently are buying 120 billion in assets from the, I do believe, government. But as you can see, actually right now, they published in October that they're gonna reduce the treasury bond buys by 10 billion and also mortgage-backed security purchases by 5 billion. And I do actually think the last source also, there was somewhere that it said 25 billion because they actually thought they were gonna speed it up, which means that this is even more bullish for the GXY. And pretty much you can see that the stimulus program could end in June next year. And so pretty much what that means is that they're gonna start pouring less money in the economy, right? And of course, this is gonna appreciate the dollar, because the less dollars there are, or the more expensive they will be, right? This is the law of supply and demand. And so pretty much just putting all of this together, but of course we have the new virus and we also have inflation. Okay, so pretty much this is targeting inflation, but with the new virus, maybe what if we have lockdowns again and businesses really get in the mud once again? Well, the Fed or the governments should again help, and they are gonna help by still purchasing those securities. So it's gonna be really fun to actually see how it's gonna go. And there are so many things going on right now that even I can say technicals, of course, they play a very important. They play a very important role in our analysis, but at the end of the day, all of those sticks right there are driven by the economy and by all of those policies right there. So as we can see, this month, pretty much November, we closed as a very nice bullish candle right there, and we left a big wick on top, which pretty much comes in from a level right here that we're gonna examine a little bit later on the weekly. And right now, as always, the monthly candle has opened and we're still an inside bar. So what I always tell you is we have to follow the momentum. And if I just zoom out a little bit to build a little bit of a picture, so since here, I'm gonna start from there, 2018, we had a push, lower high, lower low, then we broke the lower high right there. And then we pretty much went into the extreme right here, but we failed to make a new high, which was kind of a bearish signal. But then the market started to head to the downside with a lot of selling pressure. But what it did, it failed to break the low. So what is this, guys? Just fundamentally, this is a consolidation. Right now, this is a range, okay? And but then the market actually came in right here from this very big level right there, and we were creating again lower lows, lower highs. Then what the market did is it failed to break below this low and created the shift formation. Then we pushed into the highs and also broke the most recent lower high that was right here. And so for me, this is a sign of bullishness. All right, because we failed to break below this major low. And if this was a lower low and this was a lower high, then the market should have continued and made a new lower low, but it didn't. And pretty much we created this big shift formation. And I'm not sure when they actually announced this one. I think October or somewhere, but we can see that some bullishness have been kicking in since June on the dollar. So everything was pretty much predetermined at that time. But again, just in terms of technicals, what I see is that we have this little slowdown right there. We have this pullback, and then the next month open, we had a little pullback inside the zone, and then we just exploded into the highs. But this, of course, creates this big zone, which we're gonna potentially explore also on the weekly. But again, I am more bullish than bearish on the dollar. And again, as I told you guys, pretty much the level that we had a look at the weekly outlook and setups is this one, because this is where we actually broke structure on the left and where we initiated a lot of sellers. And we just tapped into this area last week. We left a very nice indecision, and also how did this week close? Well, pretty much as another indecision. So from the monthly, again, what I would expect to see is this bullish candle. We need to pull back a little bit. Well, we do not need, this is the wrong language, but we expect or we anticipate that if the market moves in cycles, if it moves up, pulls back, moves up, pulls back, then we should have a little bit of a pullback to the downside. Okay, and if I just take this whole candle like this, and we can mark, of course, the 50% of the monthly candle, because this is a proper pullback area, but our complete leg actually starts from here. On the weekly, there it is. We started the move from there, and currently it looks like we can ended it there. There is our 50% of the engulfing candle, and there is also this little zone right there that we're going to explore on the daily. Okay, so this is the weekly, pretty bullish, tapping into supply on the left. And again, I keep telling you guys, you can see this supply on the left and you might expect a drop, but no, this supply is just a cause for the market to pull back, to create a higher low, and then to continue higher. Okay, so building all of this together and dropping on the daily, we have a couple of areas to look for potential longs. I'm going to remove this line for now, but pretty much my first area, which is exactly at the 50% of the weekly leg, is this one, which is 95,200. This is where we could potentially expect a reversal from there, a new higher high. And then of course the next one is going to be this whole blue area right there, which we can maybe take something like this to make it smaller. And of course we have this last pullback before the big pump into the highs that also broke structure. So if you also want to do it on the daily, you can even drop a level like this in order to make it more precise. But again, following the highest time frame momentum, which is the monthly and the weekly, I am bullish on those time frames. And what did I tell you this week on the dollar is that we also had a daily level right there, that the market just wicked by a pipette below, reacted, but then failed to make a new high. And right now you can actually see what is happening is we have, so we opened on the 29th range, then we had Mr. Powell's speech, big chop. And then since then we have 3 days of sitting inside the range of this candle. Okay, so this is pretty important to note as well, because we pretty much have 3 inside bars of this daily candle, which is quite a lot. The weekly is not an inside, but so we definitely can expect a breakout. Okay, so usually what I would love to see is a break of this level and then potentially a tap inside either this level and a reversal, or potentially this level and a reversal again, right? But if we first push into the highs, then it's a completely different story, because then we're gonna get inside this level a bit deeper, and maybe we're also gonna give another reaction to the downside, create a higher low and then continue higher, or we might actually just smash it. Okay, and again, this is mainly driven by fundamentals, so just watch out on what is happening, have those levels in mind, make sure to know that we're currently ranging right there, and of course those are my 2 longing areas. But if this one right now breaks above, then we just have to adapt. Okay, and then dropping on to the 4-hourly time frame, pretty much the cause of this big bullishness right here was this little gap. So it pretty much filled the gap right there, and then we exploded into the highs. And at that point, I perceived the market as bullish, because this for me was a break of structure. We pulled back, and as you can see, there is also a big chance that we're gonna reverse from here, because the market has been holding at this, like this is the 2 hours, but we have been holding at this level for quite some time, right? Tap inside, tap inside, tap inside, tap inside. It looks bullish, but it's just building up inside this big range. Okay, and I would definitely expect some sort of big manipulation to happen right there. So definitely, guys, be careful. Okay, but in order to really wrap up this analysis, again, my highest time frame indicate that the dollar is bullish. Are we in a great place to buy right now? No, because we would usually love to see the market pull back into discount, which is pretty much below 50%, and tap a higher time frame area. So my first area is, again, as I said, 95,200 to 95, and then potentially below that we can also look for buys. Okay, so pretty much right now I am gonna, as always, allow the market to develop a little bit, because I cannot analyze the 4-hourly right now, because what we have is just a range right now. Like the last 3 days have just been ranging right here, so I definitely need to see something more. I need to see a breakout of this range, and again, if we push into the downside, I'm gonna start looking for longs. But if we push into the highs, then potentially make a new higher high, I'm gonna look for a pullback and a continuation up. And of course, let's see how Monday is gonna open, and I'm gonna update you guys on Tuesday. And make sure to do a little bit of research on the fundamentals, because this is gonna really kind of give you a little bit of bias and a little bit of fundamental knowledge of where the dollar is potentially headed. Let's have a look at my beloved Euro USD monthly time frame. So again, just to build a little picture right here, we have reached this bottom right there in 2017. We massively expanded to the upside. We had quite a big pullback to the downside. We went all the way down into this level right there, which is 1.06. And then from there, we started to impulse to the upside. So if I delete everything right now, what do we have is a simple push, pullback. And what we usually expect is a new higher high, okay? We expect, or we anticipate. We do not say that the market needs to do that, or the market must reverse right now. No, just watch your language, okay? But what happens right there is, similarly to the DXY, we tap into a supply level right here. And I want you to also explore right now what is happening right there. So the market created a massive pump up, looks really good, very nice. Has a pullback, higher low, cool. We push into the highs, nice. We started reacting from the supply, we pull back. And this was really the key area for Euro, because we pulled back to create a new higher low. And what we should have expected or anticipated, and what should have happened, which again is kind of a wrong language, is we should have anticipated a new higher high. Or if the market was bullish, it should have broken above this high. But did we break it? Nope. And what the market did is kind of started to little bit compress. The buyers tried to push, but then the sellers said no, and we snapped to the downside. Okay, so this for me is a bearish sign, and we can also see it on the increase of the dollar. Okay, still, currently Euro is traveling towards a very strong area. of demand, which is this one. This is how we can drop it on the monthly, because this is where we really exited strongly with momentum and we broke structure, and we're almost there, which is 1.11 towards 1.10. And yeah, this is a big area. Actually, we start from 1.08 all the way towards 1.11, which is where we could potentially see maybe some sort of consolidation, and then the market could potentially start heading higher into next year. Okay, but currently the monthly time frame is extremely bearish, and if we have a look at the last monthly candle, which is pretty bearish, and we have been trending down for 1, 2, 3, 4 months in a row, bearish closes, which is really good. And again, this is our current monthly candle range. We can just on average drop the 50% range of this monthly candle, and we can of course go to analyze the weekly. Okay, and so let's have a look where the weekly move started. So we had a little pullback right there. What broke structure? Well, this bearish candle, and this bearish candle originated from this candle, kind of. We have this one, but then it's kind of ranged. Then really the momentum kicked in after this little pullback, and then we flushed. So if you also drop our weekly range, which I'm gonna drop like this, you can see, is this the beginning? Yeah, this is pretty much the first week. You can see that pretty much this perfectly resonates with what we did on the monthly candle. But in order to maybe allow it a little bit more space, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna catch it from the top to the bottom. And of course, we have similarly to the DXY, this 50% line of the monthly candle. And we also have this little level right here, which we're gonna explore on a lower time frame. So are we tapping somewhere right now? Yes, we're tapping inside this big range that I told you that we have been targeting for quite some time with you guys. Since the market was up there somewhere, we expected the market to drop and to potentially come inside this area, and then maybe to give us a reversal. But as you can see at that point, we have come in very deeply inside this level, and it just looks like it's not gonna break. And what I'm actually gonna say is that this level is gonna break right there. So this one is a liquidity point. It's a low that contains a lot of orders. So possibly before we really reverse to the upside, I do believe we're going to have a break of this level, a tap inside this big demand. And then from there, we're going to see potentially next year if the euro is actually going to appreciate in value. All right. So this is pretty much my top down analysis. Currently, I am sell biased, but first of all, we need some sort of a pullback. Okay. So let's see where the pullback can take place. Well, first of all, we have this big area that hasn't been retested yet. This happened a couple of weeks ago. This was a London, I think, no, this is the daily. Yeah, this is the daily. It's not the full hour. Right? I kind of confused this pattern for something on the full hour, but there is our big range. And again, I do think we can still refine our range. So this is the daily. This is not where the real move started, but it's the top. This is where the real move started right there, because this is the last kind of bullish candle before we really initiated outside without a stop. Okay, so pretty much there is the 50% and as soon as we tap above 50%, we can start looking for sellers on our macro time frame. Okay, dropping onto the full H right now. So what does that mean to us is that euro short term, it could be bullish. Okay, but this is slightly bit risky because we already made this kind of pullback. We almost tapped into this range, and right now we're just kind of wicking right there. But what I would really love to see is again for the market to get into an area of interest for me. And again, the first area is actually this one, where potentially I'm gonna short from, which is 1.1440. All right, and currently, what do we have? Well, again, we had this massive pump into the highs, we had this massive pump into the lows, and what the market has been doing similarly to the DXY is just stuck in this range right now. So we had this big candle, and then for 3 days we have been ranging inside this candle, which right now, guys, makes it really difficult to analyze the full hourly time frame. Okay, pretty much I've been analyzing the 50-minute and the hour, and this is how I got all of my trades, just trading within this range right there. But this of course is low probability. So what I really need to see next week right now is how the market is going to develop. Okay, and where are we going to explode? Are we going to straight flush to the downside? Because if you also have a look at something, we created this high, we massively pushed into the lows, then we created this lower high, lower high, lower high. So it looks like we are dropping to the downside, and this could simply just continue going down. But it can also build this as a flat high, and we can just continue and expand to the upside, because everybody right now looks like it's shorting. And that means that we can also expand very sharply to the upside, which is why you have to watch out. Okay, but pretty much again, considering this is actually a little bit eye-opening for me, because I was too focused on the most recent price action, and right now I can see that we are pretty much at the lowest portion of the big range. So pretty much I am more confident right now to expect bullish euro to potentially pull back into the zone and then reverse, which pretty much resonates with what I told you on the DXY. A push into the downside, a tap into this area, and then bullishness, which means that a push into the upside, tap into the area, and bearishness on EU. So this is kind of my macro analysis. I'm gonna give you more of a micro on Tuesday, but currently my only suggestion is to watch out the structure on the hour, okay? Because on the hour we are bearish. NFP, actually, if you watch my yesterday's video, I took a short yesterday pretty much that I didn't broke out because I took it after the video. I took a short from here, so I caught this move to the downside. Come on, this one to the downside, and then we pretty much expanded to the upside. And I told you we're either gonna have a short from here or a short from there, and there was a very nice short to be taken from there. We already pulled back as a correction, so definitely after NFP I'm always gonna allow Monday to set up and to see if we're gonna have potentially a continuation, a break of this lower low, pull back, continuation lower, or if we're gonna pull back, reverse higher, so then we can start looking for bullishness all the way until above 50%. Okay, so guys, stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram. Link is down in the description. Let's have a look at Euro Yen, which is not a pair that I love trading, but it does look good right now. So pretty much on this one, what we had is quite a few months of consecutive bullishness, and we went inside and we tapped into the extreme level right there. And this is why currently we are reacting. But according to me, if I again just zoom out a little bit, we can see that the overall narrative of this market is bullish. Like since this is way too much, but since 2012, we have pushed into the highs, then we made a pullback, which is roughly even below 50%. And then from there, we usually what should expect is a new higher high, right? And then we started to initiate into the highs. And if we just zoom in to look more at the micro structure, we have been trending down. This was the last supply. We pretty much flipped right there to the upside. We came back right there, created a higher low formation. And right now we are on our way up to potentially target this high. So pretty much for me, EJ on a macro scale, it looks pretty bullish, okay? But when is it gonna happen actually, this one? It's gonna take a lot of time because guys, this is not the 4-hourly, it's the monthly, all right? And it took the market from this low to impulse into the highs 1 year, and then it took the market, what is this, man? Like 4 years or 3 years to pull back. Right now we are up 1 year to the upside. It can take 1 year to pull back and then maybe 1 year to actually target this high. So yeah, it's unreal if there are people actually trading those time frames, but it's definitely very cool to do. So we had a push, the market broke the structure right there. We pulled back and created a new higher low, which is roughly almost at the 50%. And then we impulsed and created another higher high. So pretty much our range right now is this one. The market already pulled back into the 50%. It gave us a little reaction, but failed to follow through. And right now we're potentially going for a deeper pullback, which can take place somewhere inside this monthly zone. So dropping onto the weekly, we can clearly see that the market attempted to push higher, and then pretty much all we said, cool, we're ready to go up, and we drop our demand level right there, but the market just smashed through it. Okay, so pretty much what I expect right now on EJ is a little bit more of a bearish pullback. And then of course we have quite a few areas right here. So we have also this area. It's not only this one, but we have this sort of area right here, and you can drop a lot of levels right there. I'm gonna drop it like this, because if you again try to see when then the structure got broken right there, we're pretty much right here. We pushed, we pulled back, and then we broke. So for me, this is an overall area that we're just actually about to tap. And if we're gonna pull back, if we're gonna actually reach this area right there, which is 1.125, we cannot just do this, right? The market has to stop, it has to pull back, and then it's gonna reach. Okay, so currently we have been bearish for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. So this market also needs a pullback to the upside. Okay, so it's really tricky to trade this one. But yeah, dropping onto the daily, we can see that the last 5 days were not the best. Wick down, wick up, bullet bearishness down, and pretty much more or less an inside bar play. The last candle actually broke the low right there. But yeah, man, this pair is a little bit tough right now. But yes, pretty much this is my first macro level below the 50%. So we can definitely start expecting some bullishness right there. Is it going to be the bullishness that it's going to actually take out the high and make a new high? I don't know. Okay. Or is it just going to be bullishness for the market to pull back, create a lower high, and then push into the lows? This is what we have to adapt and see into the upcoming weeks. But currently on the cards, we have a potential pullback, a potential macro pullback, because again, you can see we have been trending down for quite some time, and we definitely need some sort of correction maybe before pushing down again. Okay. And just to zoom in, this market right there is a mess on the 4H. And if you want to trade this one, you have to trade the 1H or the 15-minute. And right now, if I try to see where is my last break of structure, it's pretty much non-existent because it's just a wick to the downside. Pretty much this was looking like a lower high, but we took it out and then we created this bullish candle and we left this sort of lower high right there. Overall, the market is bearish. If I try to consider the hour, yeah, we can see that it's a complete choppiness right there. Right now we broke structure. So guys, according to me, shorter term, this one is still bearish. I'm going to be watching out for this level at the next weekly open, and then to potentially get inside this very big macro zone right there. You can, of course, and go and have a look at the 4-hourly. Like, when did the 4-hourly really move? Well, I can see that it kind of stacked and exploded from here. We pull back pretty much to retest this area, but yeah, potentially an area that could be retested could be this one right there. So let's actually see if we're gonna have an initial pullback to take a short opportunity, and then as soon as we tap into this blue area, we can then start to reevaluate and possibly wait for longs. But yeah, I do think we can still accumulate in December, and then maybe actually January or maybe February are gonna start pumping up. So let's see, but my outlook still on EJ is bearish. Macro is bullish, but we're in a big pullback scale right now. So let's see how this one is gonna go, and shorter term, we are bearish. All right, let's have a look at the Aussies, starting from AU. So again, on a biggest macro time frame, this one, I would even allow myself to maybe check the quarterly time frame, because what we have right there is quite a bearish market, right? Since 2011, like, because we go so much back in time, we have been trending down, right? And pretty much our range on this time frame was this push to the downside. We had a pullback, and right now we're potentially even headed for the lows right there. This is the quarterly, and then I want to show you a little detail on the monthly. So pretty much we kind of reached this low, and then it looked like we shifted structure right there. It looked like it wanted to push higher, right? So we had a push, we had a pullback, then we had a push. And then what the market did is it tapped into this very strong macro supply that actually really broke the structure to the downside. We spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months rejecting this level. So this is what I call an accumulation, guys, on a macro time frame, right? 5 months of range right now just to initiate, all right? And what really makes sense is I want you to actually have a look how the buyers and sellers are exchanging hands right there. So we had this little demand that actually broke structure. We pull back into demand and have a look. So we very nicely react. The next month, I still confuse myself. I forget I'm doing monthly analysis. We tried to push up on this wick, and then we just massively broke down again. Then there was this month in October that we had a very nice bullishness, and which was like, okay, cool, we're going up. And then what we had the next month is an absolute smasher to the downside, bearish engulfing candle, and this demand is already breaking. Okay, so what does that mean? Is that we are in a short market, in a supply market, and potentially this low, it could be the target, which is absolutely extreme right there. What is this? 15,000 pips. I'm just gonna short the market right now, guys, with a stop loss of 5,000 pips. Do I have? Yeah, no, man, I'm not gonna trade this trade. It's just 2.5 R. I'm joking, of course, but overall, I am bearish on this pair on the biggest time frame that I actually analyzed, and also the quarterly is showing this. So again, currently though, we are in this push phase, and as you can see, the month just opened and we did not have much of a pullback, and then we just dropped. But again, I want you to explore something what I also mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I think sometimes we have a bullish candle like that, and we expect the next candle to open and to give us a clear pullback to the downside, or maybe even to close bearish like this, and then to potentially then push into the highs. Okay, but I want you to actually see on the left somewhere, does that always happen? bullish candle, yeah, little pullback, continuation. Then look at this month. The month just opened and pumped. This month just opened right there, pumped. The next month just opens and pumps. All right. So for us to say, okay, bearish engulfing candle, we are gonna be seeing a potential pullback right there, and then a push is not always happening. Okay, just check it out on the left. Sometimes we just have like 3 months in a row of massive, massive, massive flushes. Okay, so can we have one of those right now? Definitely. Okay, so let's try to zoom in on the weekly. And yeah, man, like look at the weekly. It's just massively dumping to the downside right now and definitely breaking structure. So pretty much we definitely do have to react from somewhere. And the only little zone that I see is this little guy right here. So how do I draw this one? Yeah, I'm gonna drop it as a big range like this, let's say. So this one, so pretty much in order for the market to stop somewhere, it has to tap somewhere. And pretty much right now we're breaking below this one. We're gonna be taking all the buy orders, because imagine that you are long right there and you're riding this one and your stop loss is probably gonna be below. Your stop loss will be potentially break even if you really thought that this market is gonna take the high. And right now the market is definitely targeting this low. So after we take this low, then potentially we can expect a bullish pullback. Okay, so this is the first thing that I'm going to be waiting for AU, is to break this low and then to tap into this overall range right here, which I'm not sure how to draw. But nothing too much to look on the weekly. It's been flushing down for quite some time. On the daily, we started a little bit choppy this week. AU was very hard to trade this week. And then pretty much, guys, on NFP, it was a release. Like after NFP went out, this one just massively flushed to the downside. And currently we are about to get into this area, which I cannot even see how to draw on the daily. So I'm just gonna stick around and see how it's gonna react from here. But yeah, nothing too much to mention. The only thing that I can advise you on AU is to just keep going. Do not wait for big pullbacks like this, right? Just keep going with the most recent structure. And right now, actually, yeah, it's pretty hard to determine because, yeah, we kind of range right there. Like you can see also if you drop on the hour, what we have is a very interesting scenario this week. Like we started ranging, we started expand, up, down. It looks like a vortex, and then we just like started rushing to the downside. But you can see, guys, what like the big guys are doing. They like take the lows, sellers come in. Take the highs, buyers come in. Take the lows, sellers come in. Take the highs, buyers come in. They just confused everybody right there. Well, mostly everybody. Some people, I have a member of my community that is running a short from here and still holding it, like, which is big R&R. But of course, there was a lot of trickery happening right here. And yeah, so pretty much this market is short for me. If I am to analyze it for next week, I see this candle as the last lower high right there. And if I drop on the hour, this is my range, a push to the downside. So if I have a pullback into this range, I can be looking for sales. And then of course, as I told you, we're about to get into December. So maybe this guy is gonna take a little rest and we're gonna tap inside and we're gonna range and again do that fun stuff before potentially moving into the highs. Okay, but pretty much this is my outlook. I do believe we're definitely going for this low. So this is the first thing that's gonna happen either on the weekly open. We're just gonna tap inside and then maybe start to cook something. Or if we first of all have a pullback, then this is gonna be a lovely short to take, actually targeting a new lower low. Okay, but hopefully you guys got value from the macro analysis, which is pretty bearish for AU. And then again, there is gonna be a time that this one is gonna have to pull back a little bit, at least a little bit, and then to potentially continue lower and target this low right there, and then potentially head for the lowest zones. Okay, but first of all, I do believe we're gonna have a reaction from the zone, a pullback, and then we're gonna break. So let's see how this goes. This one is gonna go. It's definitely gonna happen in December, so let's see. And if we have a quick look at AJ, so yeah, this one is also very tricky because we were in a very beautiful uptrend, and again, this one was also looking very good because it broke. Yeah, it didn't break, but it kind of wicked above this high, which could have been a confirmation for a new high, but I can see right now that it's just massively reversing to the downside. And this low is possibly going to get taken, and we potentially are targeting this little demand on the monthly. Okay, so taking all of this information, transferring that on the weekly, and we're definitely dropping on this one, and we also need a little bit of a stop. But when are we going to stop? Are we just going to continue dropping lower until we break this low and tap into the demand? Or are we going to start with a pullback right now? We don't know. Okay. The market is just about to take out this low right here. It actually just did it? Yeah, I think it did. So what could happen on this one before we actually break below this low, which is kind of similar as on AU, we might tap into this little level right there, because this little level actually caused the break of structure and it hasn't been fully tapped into. Right, so what we can do is we can tap inside this level and we can have a reaction, and then we can potentially pull back into this most recent daily zone that I just see right now. Okay, can we expect a big pullback right here? Definitely, but we can only expect it if this level holds, pulls back, and then if we break above this level, then potentially we can expect a bigger pullback and then a flush lower. Okay, but this is gonna take quite a few days, so let's try to focus on the now. So pretty much my analysis on AJ is this one. I do think this low is gonna get taken. We can definitely tap in this level, which is gonna be a potential reaction point for the market to pull back, to create a lower high, and then to potentially start dropping lower. Okay, and if I check the hourly, it also looks good. We were ranging, push down, ranging, push down. Okay, so this is the first area. We can also drop this one. We can also pull back towards this one, which looks pretty good as well. That also broke structure. So actually this one looks pretty good for a potential short. But yeah, so first of all, guys, if we pull back right now, if we tap into this demand, you can of course start looking for longs as well on this market. First target right there, second target right there, and then we can potentially look for shorts. So of course, let's see how this one is gonna develop at the beginning of this month. All right, next on the list are the NZDs, which I do not trade actually at all, and I do not understand them well, so let's not spend too much time on them. But overall, this market for me is still bullish, which is a little bit different than the Aussies. So pretty much again, we had this massive move, which we can define as the quarterly move, right? Then we pull back to create this lower high formation, and we can of course still head lower, but we still have to breach this demand that is right now incoming, which is this one. Let me drop it like this, higher time frame demand, and which is pretty much the last higher low. So we had a push, we were still bearish, so remember, follow the structure, lower high, lower low, we pull back. This should have been a lower high to continue lower, but no, the seller said no, buyers boom, up, pull back, potentially we can continue higher. So this is the overall expectation. But just looking at all the pairs, the dollar, the Aussie as well, which is pretty much correlated to NZUSD positively, we can definitely start flushing on this one as well. But we are right now about to also tap into a very strong demand, which could potentially cause at least a reaction to the upside. Remember guys, reaction, not a reversal, a reaction, pullback, and a lower low. So this is what I would actually expect, which is very similar to the Aussie. So if they start both moving together to the upside to create that pullback, that will be really nice. All right. But yes, pretty much this one has broken the most. So we had right here, we had kind of a break. We had a break right there. It was looking bullish. This was looking like a strong low. Then we had a higher low. Then we have a higher high. And then we should have had a higher low right there, but the market just broke, which is a shift in market structure. And right now our major high is this one. You can also mark it like this. This is our major high. Oops, not this one. It's the other one. Highlighter. This is the major high. And right now we're about to create a major low in order to pull back, lower high, and then to potentially flush lower. So this is my expectation, but still we have to reverse from there and we have to initiate a pullback. And then of course, probably next week, if we do so, our range is going to look something like this, let's say, and we're going to be looking to short into areas, something like that. So I'm already thinking of weeks ahead. Because right now, what do we have is nothing much to work with. We very recently broke structure to the downside. And if I just drop to the 4H, oh man. Okay, the 4H is not clear, but I saw this candle on the daily, which can give us an overall shorting range on the 4H, which is not very nice. But yes, so pretty much what we can have very shorter term for next week, Monday, Tuesday, we can have a pullback, lower high, and then a tap inside this very big blue area, which is a very strong macro demand. And then from there, we're going to see if we're going to have this macro pullback on the weekly and then potentially a continuation, which of course could happen in the matter of the whole December. Okay. But shorter term, I'm still shorts until we tap into this area. And then from there, guys, it's going to be a completely different story because we have to adapt and we really have to see how NU and how AU are also going to react. But so far, we are bearish. This is my last lower high, and until we stay below it, we are bearish. So this is how I'm gonna approach the market into the upcoming week. And then of course, stay tuned for my analysis on Tuesday to have a look what is actually happening. NZD JPY still has a long way to go towards the most recent demand. Everything right there is a push, but then we pulled back and then we pushed again, which was a very clear break of structure, which pretty much created this little demand right there, which I take from the wick. So I'm gonna drop to the month to the weekly, which is pretty much this. And yes, we're already breaking below this one, which is the last higher low formation. So this indicates that we are in a reversal phase, like we made a new higher high right there. We should have created a higher low right there, but the market said no, and we dropped to the downside. So definitely we can also expect this low to be broken. But of course, before we do that, as I keep saying on every pair, we have to pull back, or we have to. Is this wrong? Well, we should, or we anticipate for the market to pull back. But currently this one is just dropping like mad, and until we find any strong support or demand, we cannot pretty much start looking for longs. Okay. So my biggest tip for you guys is actually not to look on the left to try to find the bottom and try to do something like this, but just wait for the market to change the structure. Okay, so follow lower high, lower high, lower high, where and when the last lower high is broken, then this is your first indication for the market potentially reversing. And currently there is our last lower high. We can also take it on the 4H. Yep, there is your range. There is a push outside of the range. You can also take this one as a major one. So for me, as long as we trade below those levels, I'm gonna be bearish. But as soon as we break above, then potentially we can start looking for longs. Okay, so pretty much into the beginning of next week, this is gonna be the setup. A pullback, lower high, continuation lower into some of the levels that are gonna be here on the left. But as I told you, don't try to marry those levels too much. Just wait for the most recent structure, wait for the change. And guys, just wait to see an uptrend, because if you try to catch a bottom right there, it's just a downtrend. All right, so what you want to see is the market to shift and start making up structure, right? It's as simple as that. So let's not try too hard too long. Let's wait and keep shorting until the trend says so. All right, let's have a look at UJ, which is a pretty difficult pair in my opinion, exactly right now as well. So the last month closes as a very nice rejection candle. So we opened up, we pushed very strongly up, we tapped into something on the left right there, and then we very sharply kind of reversed, we rejected, and we closed as bearish, which is pretty much a bearish signal for this pair. But if I look on the monthly, we're overall bullish. So since the bottom right there, we pushed very strongly, we kind of consolidated, we found this base, and then we initiated outside of this thing as well. So pretty much on the monthly, this is our range, and currently we're traveling towards the 50% on the monthly. Dropping on the weekly, again, we had a very big, the market spent a couple of weeks at the top right there. Then we have this beautiful manipulation like the final one. So we had the first one to shake out some sellers, buyers, whatever they are. We thought it's gonna reverse, but then the market opened, another shake. And right now it looks like we're finally ready to commit to the downside, because we are also breaking almost below the structure. The biggest question is, where is this market traveling towards? Okay, on the weekly, I do not see a clear level. So for me, the clearest level or zone is this one, where we could potentially like pull back to and then initiate higher. Also, the DXY is kind of bullish, but we still expect a pullback on the DXY lower. And if this happens, then this is gonna be nice for UJ, because also UJ is gonna pull back lower, and then they can both, of course, take their way to the upside. Okay, but yeah, pretty much anything below 50% will be a buying opportunity for me. And what I see is also we have a little bit of a range right there as well, so this could also be a buy area. But right now we have broken below structure almost, and we have to find where we could potentially sell it from, which is a bit too difficult. So let's try to check the 4H, because we massively impulsed into the low. So pretty much this could have been an area, but then the market started making new structure. What we have to do is we have to keep following that structure. Okay, so where was a break of structure? Right there. What broke the structure? This zone. And I pretty much think, guys, if you actually watched my outlook and setups the past 2 weeks, I think the forecasts have been pretty accurate as well. Then we pull back right there, we try to make a low, we fail, we pull back in again, and right now we're again trying to put up a new low right there. And I pretty much think this is actually the level that is holding, and we are about to make a new low. So for me, we can have a push lower, and then if we have a break of market structure, I'm gonna keep looking for shorts. until we tap into this area. And I can see already that we have a new level on the 4 hourly right there. So there is a daily, 4 hourly, and a very big weekly area as well, or monthly. So pretty much from there, guys, so pretty much right here, starting from 112, we can start expecting the longs. So I'm going to be shorting until we actually tap this area. And yes, the hour did not fully break the structure, but I do believe we are actually going to break it. It's just stacking right now. We took out a lot of liquidity right there. We very sharply initiated to the downside. So there are two situations. We're either going to have first make a lower low, then pull back for a lower high, or right now we can first initiate higher to create a lower high, and then we can still drop to the downside. So you can see that I'm pretty bearish on UJ. Currently, I do believe we're going to pull back towards 112. So let's see if this is going to happen. And I would also appreciate your thoughts, guys. It's time for the GBPs, as always, starting with GU, which has been a very difficult pair for me to judge. Also higher time frames, but both lower time frames. Of course, the lower time frames are easier because you just focus on the now, you just look at the momentum, and this is why I love day trading as well. Because looking at those macro time frames, like of course we are overall bearish on this pair. We have been moving down. And of course, where is this brush? We have this lower high that the market came in. We tried to push lower, but we failed to make a new low. We just wicked it. Then we pull back in again, but we still failed to make a new high. So pretty much for me, this is a declining market. And overall, I would expect sellers. But of course, Bank of England as well is announcing some stuff as well. I read something very recently, but I'm not sure if I got it correctly. But yeah, pretty much we went inside this wick on the monthly time frame. The market spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months inside this one. And right now we're starting to flush into the downside. And if I try to find where is my last kind of major high low on the monthly, I would say it's kind of this one right there. But it's a bit too hard to determine because we have this whole bearish candle, which we can take. We can also take like just the high low like this, but I prefer to take a whole zone. And right now we're tapping into it. Okay, so the biggest question right now is, was this supply just a reaction for the market to pull back and then to head higher? Okay, because also shorter term, we kind of changed the structure. So if you also follow it on the shorter term, we had a lower high, we had a lower low, we pull back. This should have been a lower high. It tries to push down, but then fails, and we make a new higher high. So again, this is our last demand from where the buyers took control over the sellers. All right, so we have a pullback and a continuation higher. So it's very, very, very tricky. And this is too big of an area right there. So we have to try to bring it a little bit lower. Let's try to do this, for example, on the weekly. This is the last range. We very strongly initiated higher, and we also kind of broke / wicked above this major high right there. So potentially we're traveling towards 1.31 and 1.30. And we reacted from this big wick. So we reacted here, we reacted there, but it's just reactions, and the market has just been moving to the downside on the weekly. Okay. What I see very recently is that we had the 1 week of a pullback, and then the next week completely crashed to the downside, and then the new week opened. It did not pull back much and then crashed down again. So currently we're potentially about to target this little low right there, because again, the market is always seeking liquidity, and usually liquidity always lies below lows and highs, because this is, of course, again, imagine just in very simple terms, imagine that you're long from there, your stop loss is going to be down there. Okay, and pretty much the market wants to go there to take your stop loss and then to potentially reverse. And yes, on the weekly, we're down. This is my last weekly kind of area that makes sense. And on the daily as well, you can see that we have been making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high. And right now we put up a nice lower high after pulling back into 50% of this range right there, and we continued to initiate lower. And there were quite a few shorts actually to be taken on GU also this week. Currently, this is my daily range from the high to the low, and we pretty much, yeah, this candle is very tricky because we made this low on this candle, and but it already kind of created some pullbacks right there. But yeah, we can also classify, this is why I told you that GU is very tricky, because we can also classify this one as flat highs. Then in order for the market to push into this level and reverse, which is something that I would love to see on the macro scale. But currently on the 4 hourly time frame, we can also really zoom in and see that there are some very recent lower highs that are respected. Okay. And we pretty much had the speech massive drop to the downside. We perfectly pulled back into this level, tapped inside, then we perfectly broke this level, then we perfectly again pulled back into the new lower high right there, and we just kept going down. Right, you can see how there is kind of a lower highs and a chain of lower highs. There is another one. We tapped inside on NFP and we kept going lower. Okay, so according to me, if I really zoom into the lowest time frame, so we started from the monthly and right now we're on the hourly. This, according to me, is the last supply that was also created on NFP right here. And if we fail to hold above below this one, so pretty much if something like this happens, then everything right here is gonna become liquidity, and we're potentially gonna pull back inside these levels right there. And pretty much I would love to sell from a zone like this, right, which is pretty much a range, and we very sharply exited outside. And you can see that this kind of structure right there is not the best. So it's more like a range, then to potentially pull back and then to reverse and targeting this low right there. But of course, what we can also do is we can just pull back and then target the low, and then from there it's going to be a completely different story. Okay, so in order to summarize everything, I am more or less bearish on GU, looking forward for it to tap towards this little zone right there of 1.30 or starting from 1.3031. On the weekly time frame, we're bearish, and the pullback that makes sense to me on the weekly is this bullish candle, because this is the last pullback before we broke structure. On the daily, this is my range on the daily that we haven't had a clear pullback of. We looked like we stopped from right here on this bullish candle, but we never pulled back. Then we made a new low right there. Oops, we made a new low. So currently all of those wicks I would love to be taken, so I would consider them as flat highs like this, and then potentially we can have something like this. Okay, so this is gonna be my major play on GU, but again, this is only if we have an invalidation of full hourly structure, because currently, as I told you, the full hourly and the hourly are perfectly bearish, following the bearish flow. But as I told you, if we invalidate one of those, then we can potentially start looking for longs into this area, and from there it's gonna be a different story, because then we can start looking for higher time frame macro shorts. Okay, so this is my outlook on GU. Again, shorter term, as I told you, there is a little short, but I just do not love this pair right now, so I prefer to step away and focus on something that is looking a little bit better until GU sets up a little bit better. Okay, GJ also, if you followed my last outlook, it played out a very nice short very beautifully. And of course, on this one, we can expect a bigger pullback, because we have been pushing for quite some time on a monthly, and right now we're chopping around. We took out the high right there, which was immediately followed by a strong inside bar bearish engulfing candle, and right now we are already tapping into the lows. Okay, so does that suggest that we're gonna sell off from there and then to potentially target this big monthly range? Could be, definitely could be. So let's try to see what's happening on the weekly. We can see that the market pumped into the highs, it pulled back right there, it tried to push higher, it tried to put up a new higher high, but then it rejected, and failed to follow through and pumped into the downside, which for me creates a new weekly supply. And then if we drop on the daily, the market is currently pushing into the lows, and we had a little so the last trade that I showed you guys was this one. So I think Tuesday I analyzed this one, was a push lower, a pullback. We pulled back on the 1st of December, and we had a beautiful lower low right here. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because your daily range is this one, but you can see that on the full hourly, the market keeps going down. Okay, so this short level is still valid, but currently we're in this initiation phase to the downside. So for me, the pullback will only start if we have an invalidation of full hourly structure, which is exactly the same as GU. Okay, so currently the market is trending down. We have breaks of structures, we have the market respecting supply. This is my last supply, this is my last lower high. Market like this, last lower high. So currently the most recent setup that we could have is a pullback, lower high, and a short opportunity. But if this one fails, I'm gonna look for longs, then towards the 50% and towards this big short area, where we can take a macro sell. You can just do on the daily, you can just plot a sell right there, stop loss above, and then you can of course target the lows, which is 2R, which is insane. You can catch a much better trade on the lower time frames. But this is how I'm gonna look at it for now. Okay, can we just continue to flush to the downside? Of course. Okay, and this is why I always tell you, follow the trend until you're wrong. This is the last lower high, so let's try to short. If it breaks, then we go long towards this level, and then from there we of course wait for a new seller structure to form, and we're gonna try to short it from there as well, which is gonna take quite some time. Okay, so this is my outlook on GJ. What did I tell you on GA? We're gonna have a pullback, and we definitely did, and currently we are pushing into the highs. And also actually on this one, on the monthly, it actually makes a lot of sense, because this is the monthly time frame. Just looking at the most recent structure, we ranged, we imposed into the highs, we made a new higher high, we pulled back for 3 months. So we pushed up for 3 months, but we pulled back for 3 months, and right now we are initiating higher, potentially targeting a new higher high. So the bias is bullish. We pulled back right now, already making the move on the weekly. Yeah, but I'm just thinking, in order to get involved in this trade, we are gonna need a pullback on this one. So let's see how this one is gonna work. Yeah, on the daily, we tapped inside the zone quite a while ago on the 1st of November, and since then we have been very nicely trending into the highs. So for this one on the macro time frame, it's a bit too hard to actually drop any levels. So I'm just gonna focus on daily possibly. So we had a push, the market pulled back, and right now the newest leg is from here. And if I drop on the flower, yeah, this is pretty much where the flower pulled back. And what I believe I told you is that I would be looking for some sort of a pullback towards these zones right there. So the market pulled back and exploded into the highs. I don't like how the structure is forming, because we do not have like a major level and then a sharp move, but it pretty much kind of moves like in this manner. Okay, which is not a nice impulse and then a nice correction, but it's more like a corrective move up and then corrective move down, which is pretty much consolidation. So it's not the best pair according to me, but I am bullish on this market. So I'm not gonna focus on anything on the left, because this is gonna be a mistake. We just keep following the trend. This is my range, and I tried to find a level. Maybe you have to use different time frames. 8 hourly, yeah, we can take something like this. So pretty much I would love to see something like that happen on GA, because currently we're a bit extended, and if you drop on the hour, you can just keep trading with the hourly time frame, of course, until you're wrong, and then potentially focus on the higher time frame area to potentially take a buy from. Okay, but GA for me, it's not very clear. It's not a pair that I trade, so definitely don't listen to me when it comes to GA. And Euro GBP, this pair is one of my worst nightmares. I just never understand this pair. Guys, my analysis on Euro GBP is just a consolidation. That's it. Okay, I'm joking, of course. We're going to have a deeper look at it, but look at it. Pretty much this pair is a combination again of Euro USD and GU, and they pretty much move together. And we have been chopping around since 2016. So the only clear moves we had were like when this market was created in 2002, we had massive push pulls back, but right now we have been it has been ranging for quite some time on the monthly. So nothing too much to extract from here. Dropping onto the weekly, which is what we usually do, is we have this last lower high formation that the market is currently tapping into on the weekly, which is also what caused a break of structure. That means that the euro is stronger than the GBP. And we already reacted from it, but you can see that some bullish structure is already being built up right there. And yeah, if I drop to the hourly, yeah, I want to spend more time on the macro time frames, but nothing too much makes sense. So for me, this is the level, guys. This is the weekly level that if we stay below, we are still gonna be bearish. Okay, so let's see how the market is gonna respond from here. We also have a daily level that we're just tapping inside. Currently, the 4 hourly is still bullish. Where is our last higher low formation on the flower? It's this one. So in order for me to take any macro shorts on this one, because we were bearish on the weekly and the monthly and the daily, we have to see a break of this one and then a pattern like this. Okay, so Euro GBP, use this pair only for correlation purposes. So for example, if you're looking to go long on EU and GU, which is going to have a higher probability going long? Well, EU. Why? Because Euro GBP is bullish, which means that the euro is stronger than the pound. Okay, but this is how I'm going to look at it right now, guys. Okay, so pretty much you can also look for longs right there for a continuation higher if you think that this one is going higher, but we're sitting into weekly and daily supply, and we can definitely have some reversal, which is definitely going to target this low if we succeed in reversing. So This is my pattern on Euro GBP, and this is how I'm going to wrap up the GBP analysis. According to me, they are the most tricky ones in terms of macro analysis, so definitely let's give them some more time. Dig a little bit deeper if you're trading those pairs. For me, GU is much more important, so I'm going to be giving you more insights into the coming weeks. All right, gold. Once again, I'm not a big fan of gold. I'm not trading it as well. I'm just sharing my outlooks on it and trying to kind of grasp how this market moves. But overall, we're in this push on the monthly. Right now, it looks like a correction, but there is a lot going on inside right there. The last monthly candle closed as a big rejection candle. So pretty much we have been ranging, and it's really tough to figure out what is happening on the monthly. And I would say it's pretty much bearish because we had a push, we had a pullback. The market tried to put up a new high. It failed and it broke structure right here. Then we pulled back into this lower high formation and we created a lower high potentially. So more or less we should be targeting the lows right there, which is below 1680. So technicals are showing bearishness overall, but what are the fundamentals gonna show? Right, this is the big question. So pretty much if this one was a supply, then pretty much the next supply becomes this one, which we tapped in also this week on this week, man. I always think that I'm starting from the weekly and then on the daily. So this is the weekly. So we actually tapped it on this week right there, and we're already starting to react. And then if this market is bearish, I want to see where is my last higher low, which looks like it's this one. So let's try to examine this on the daily. And yes, this is my last higher low. Okay, so as long as this one is bullish, we can still say that the market hasn't taken complete control from sellers, but you can see that for quite some time, even starting from here, we have been creating this chain of lower highs like this. And overall, I do believe we can actually target this 1680 level. So I all of a sudden turned into a big bear on gold, which I did not expect. But I would really appreciate a close below this level. Right now, we're just chopping around this level. Really, you can see how buyers come in, buyers, but we can see that they're just running out of steam, okay? And the other scenario will be, so if this level is already tapped, we have a brand new level right here. So this is actually the next zone. So you can see red, 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 red. The blue, we do not have any blue. Like, yeah, we can have a blue coming from the bottom, which pretty much what does this create is a big battle between supply and demand and basically creating this triangle formation. So the question is who is gonna win, okay? But yeah, just dropping everything down, and even from the monthly time frame, I do believe we can actually target the lows. I had a member that is very good with gold telling me that we're also going to be headed towards the 1600s and 1580 as well, which is this level. So pretty much we're going to take out all of this lows right there, oops, like this, and then potentially start reversing higher. So this could be a very big macro analysis as well. But for me, a play could be this one: break of structure, pull back, lower high, and then a continuation lower. Or maybe we're going to first pull back right there, consolidate, maybe of course wait for a little bit of shift of structure on the lower time frame, and then to potentially see the leg down. Okay, so this is my outlook on gold. Let me know, guys, what you think. Are you bearish on gold or bullish? I'm really curious to see. And as of this analysis right now, I am more bearish than bullish, so let's see. All right, and to wrap up this very long video, we're gonna finish with some indices and crypto as well. So starting from US30, of course, we have been in a very nice uptrend since the Corona crash, which has been amazing for investors that have been longing against this crash. So pretty much this was just a cause for the market to pull back, to tap into something on the left, tap 1800s right there, and we just exploded to the upside. But for us, it's more important to actually look at what is happening right there. The last structure break was caused by this pullback. So pretty much our major low is this one, 33,500. So if we at any point break below this low, I think we're gonna have a much deeper correction, all right, which is very, very, very important to note. So pretty much this is our big demand that we're currently staying inside right now. And if you drop on the daily, you can also refine it on the daily, and it looks like we're already kind of, this was the first one right there, we broke below it, and right now we're just sitting inside this area, which is very dangerous and very exciting because this is a great buying area right there, but we're just on the verge of potentially starting a bigger correction. Okay, So again, my main thing to note of this video is take note of this one, of this low, because if this low gets violated, then we can potentially expect a new downtrend, okay? And currently, the daily is moving down and the 4-hour is moving down, and we're tapping into these big areas right there. And it's really important right now to follow up what is happening. So follow up your structure, mark your lower highs. There is lower high, we push lower, this was a lower high, then this week became a lower high right there. And right now, yeah, this is pretty much the last lower high. So let's see how this one is gonna sustain in order for me to say that, okay, this market has ended this correction, so we're ready to go up. I will need to see a clear break above, a pullback, and then a confirmation into the highs. So this is gonna be a confirmation that we have shifted definitely to bullish, okay? So stay tuned for that, watch out, monitor the news. The stocks are currently shaking a little bit with the new virus, supply chain fears and all of that stuff. Stocks are falling, indices are falling, so we have to be really vigilant and to see what is actually going to happen. But again, keep in note that we're currently in a very great buying area on almost every index. So let's see how it's going to go. For NASDAQ, this level is this one. So 14,300 overall. This is our main monthly range. Dropping on the weekly, we can pull back as far as this candle right here, which is where the momentum was initiated from. And on the daily, we have a couple of potential levels to long from, which are above 50%. The first one is this one. And then of course, the second one, which is going to be a really great buying area, is going to be this one. Okay, this one looks a little bit too optimistic, better than US 30, because US 30 is pretty much already at the reversal kind of situation, while this one is still with a very nice pump into the highs, potentially pull back, and we can definitely continue higher. So again, even if US 30 actually breaks below, where is it? If it actually breaks below this level, it can still continue higher. We cannot expect like a big crash like this. Of course, it can just pull back a little bit deeper. It can potentially tap into a level like this, but this is what we're going to speak about in the future. Okay, so this is NASDAQ right now, pulling back, still bearish, maintaining bearish structure, failing to break above in order to signify bullishness. So keep shorting this one until you see otherwise. There is our last supply right there. So perfectly, there is your opportunity for next week. Oops, like this. So let's see how this one is going to play out, and let's see how it's actually going to start responding from 1550, which is the first demand area that we're going to be looking at, and then 15 rounds to below is going to be another great buying area. S&P, I'm already buying into it right now. And again, let's have a look how this one looks like. Massive run into the highs, definitely in the need of a bigger pullback. But our last structural level is this one. There is our range. Already at the 50%. Dropping on the weekly, I would love to see the price come inside this zone right there, where I'm gonna buy even more. I can take it like this. I can even enlarge it like that. So there is my big buying zone. On the daily, we do not have something in the middle. So this pretty much is gonna be a great buying opportunity if we come inside this whole range, which is like, yeah, I would love to see, yeah, 4,000. Not really, 4,000 is too deep, because I saw some people calling 4,000. But yeah, I think we're gonna stop somewhere right there. That we're gonna have really a big decision to see if we're gonna start pushing higher. And then if we fail, if we break below 42, then of course 4,000 is gonna get unlocked, which is gonna be a great buying area as well. Okay, so currently, if you also check the structure, the market is in a downtrend. We're pushing into the downside. This is our last. This was our last lower high. We almost tapped inside, and right now we're on our way down to make a new lower low. So let's see if we pull back a little bit, create another lower high, then tap into the demand. And then from there, guys, it's going to be an amazing opportunity to buy. So don't sleep on it, because this is stocks. It's not crypto. We keep increasing in volume, and the crashes of big percentages on this one are less likely, of course, if there is no new corona or a new financial crash. And if we pull back 8% on S&P, that is all you need. Okay. So dropping onto crypto a little bit. Great sellers enter the market at the beginning of the month after creating all-time highs. We're about to reverse currently. For me, still, this is the low. I'm gonna approach it the same as stocks, because I don't trade this one. I just swing trade or position trade this one. Currently, we are encountering this also weekly demand right there, tapping inside, reacting, a great buying area as well. I actually missed this one. I was sleeping when this one was actually falling. So I might actually put in a little bit cash, invest a little bit into this one, but we pretty much tapped inside the last level right there, which looked like an S&P. So this is how I would like to buy S&P, and already Bitcoin is already done that. Yeah, so I think 44 was a great buying opportunity on Bitcoin. And of course, the biggest thing on this one is that we have failed to cause any breaks of structures. I have been telling you guys. I bought it from, where did I buy this guy? I forgot already. I bought it at 50. I bought it from right there, from 56. And yeah, right now, of course, in drawdown, but it's just an investment. And of course, I made a lot on crypto. I actually planned to document my journey because I turned $0 into 14,000 this year. So it has been quite some journey on this bullish market right there. Like since the beginning of the year, we have been doing really nice. Actually, from here, this was my first buy on this range right there. I remember, then buy it from right there, bought from right there. So it has been amazing, but I didn't really document it like with technicals and with all of that stuff. We're just doing it on the side and learning about it. But it has been amazing, and I did a lot of cash right there, which I later reinvest into more stable assets as stocks. Okay. But currently we tapped inside this level. 45 was a nice buying area, and as you can see, I have my alert. I will be putting some of the holdings, some of the cash that I have left for crypto investment, which is my highest tier of speculation. So it pretty much, I do not invest a lot in this one. Yeah, of course, it depends on what you mean by a lot. But yeah, this is how I look at it right now. And as long as we remain above 40K, for me, this market is still bullish. But if we break below 40K, then, oh man, this is gonna expose potentially firstly 30K, and then not to say that we might actually reach into the 20K. Okay, and then potentially start a new run. All right. So let's see, big times are ahead of us. This is currently my analysis. We'll be looking to buy some more if actually decides to fill that wick, and then to see how it's gonna go. And also Ethereum, which is something that I haven't bought very recently, which is again, I only buy Ethereum at Bitcoin. I made 300% on Shiba, but yeah, I didn't put in a lot on this one, so it wasn't a great return. And yeah, I'm really looking to get involved because it's fun, but according to me, it's not an investment that I would really bet, that I would really invest my money for the long term, okay? Because it's not backed up by something that I trust in, okay? Ethereum, first time that it dips below 50%, for me, still, there is the major area. It's this one. This is the major demand. As long as we stay above this one, I am bullish on ETH. And right now, I do believe it's a great time to start putting some money in. I do think we're going to create a slightly bigger pullback on this one. And I would love to start buying it from 33 all the way down to 27. And if we, of course, break below this zone, then, of course, this is going to unlock a lower level. But we're far from there. Okay, so pretty much we build up a lot of liquidity right there. Like this, everything is shaken out right now. So are we ready to reverse? Well, let's see. I would personally, again, missed the buy right there. So I'm going to be looking for a slightly bit again. I'm going to be setting I already have an alert right there. So definitely, guys, I'm looking to put some money into crypto right now. This is not financial advice, but I would much rather put it into stocks because they're also declining right now. But of course, separate a little bit of cash according to your liquidity system to also put into highly speculative assets as crypto, because of course the return are bigger. All right. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this long movie. You got a lot of value of it. Make sure to leave a comment if you did. Like the videos. Make sure you're subscribed as well. I'm gonna keep you updated in December about my performance and everything as well. And of course, for 2022, I have some amazing plans incoming. I'm gonna spend more time brainstorming as well. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned. Enjoy your weekend and talk to you on Tuesday on my Telegram channel.